All right, as I mentioned before, the DNC is going to have to address many things. As I mentioned, the economy, immigration. I think the third thing that they're going to have to really focus on is how global conflicts are going to be managed by the leadership in the United States. So we have the Ukraine conflict with Russia, we have Israel and Gaza, and so Gaza's been a very big thing here in Chicago. There's been multiple protests being planned to address and really be present at the DNC this year and this week. So we'll have a lot of commitment there from the protesters. And I think really there has to be an answer is how is Israel, how is the relationship between the United States and Israel going to be managed with the current warfare, where people believe and know that Israel is really going above and beyond from the retaliation that happened last October. So what's going to be the management? How are we going to hold Israel accountable for a lot of the things that they're doing at the Gaza Strip? So that should be addressed, and people do care about how we manage those relationships. How much money is going into war, funding the military-industrial complex, with funding these wars in Ukraine, funding these wars with Israel and other conflicts nationwide, so globally. So how is the DNC, how is the Democratic Party and their leadership going to address and manage these relationships to mitigate these wars? Or are they going to continue in these forever wars and continue to pay and make these military-industrial complexes wealthy with all of these wars? And are we going to lead into World War III? So if we don't manage these relationships, these global conflicts, and if we don't have strong leaders in place, this can essentially leak into World War III. And as voters and as citizens, is that something that we want to see? And so we really have to pay attention, and I will tell everyone that's listening to really pay attention to the plans. And if they're not mentioned, or if the plans are not direct, they're vague, as usual, politicians like to get away from these tough questions. And so if they're not answering these tough questions of how we're going to manage these global conflicts, are we voting ourselves into World War III? Are we voting ourselves into spending massive amounts of monies overseas and not really taking care of the American citizens here in our own country? And so we really have to be extremely knowledgeable this election. We can't just leave it all to faith in this term. And so what I would ask everyone is really pay attention to how things are presented, how questions are going to be answered.